Good evening, my dears. Oh, lean in close now. If tales of spotlights stolen by schemin' kin and that nail-bitin' hush for a holiday hearth explodes with hidden heat, set your heart racin'. Smash that subscribe to Tales of Mrs. Rose this very breath. We're your secret holler for hushed heartaches turned hollerin' triumphs, fresh sibling storms brewin' every Sunday. Ring the bell, darlins, and let's chase those crooked beams together, won't you? Now, picture this. Settle right here on my Tennessee porch rocker, me Rose Caldwell, 72 seasons carved deep like ridges in these old oaks, where the evening breeze carries Jed's banjo ghost from back in '68. We scratched our life from red clay and stubborn soil, hogs snortin' hearty in the mud, peaches plump and sweet under summer sun, and raised 2 wild sparks. Lucas, my valedictorian firefly, that charmer with a grin sharp as a switchblade sellin', moonshine smiles to the whole holler, and Riley, my quiet lightning, weavin' ribbons into wonders, her dreams dancin' like fireflies toward those big city lights. He blazed the trail high and hot. She kindled the steady flame that kept us all from freezin'. But oh dears, what happens when one brother's shine starts snufflin' the other's spark? Pull up closer. I've got a mystery that's gonna twist your twine. Life twanged like a well-tuned fiddle back then. My dears, Lucas's every encore echoing off the ridges. Mama's eyes lighten up like bottle rockets whenever he sauntered in, her voice warblin', "Our boy's a born star," while Daddy slapped his back, boasting at the barn dance about how Lucas could charm the dew off a daisy. I'd mend those metal ribbons he'd toss careless, slip Riley's meticulous maps under their noses, her ad agency dreams sketched careful as a quilt pattern. But the spotlight? It slanted sly, always warmin' his side of the porch first. Sabbath suppers hummed with harmony, silverware clinkin' soft against plates steamin' with cornbread and collards, laughter layerin' thick as sorghum. But oh, Riley's quiet harmonies, they faded faint as a whisper in wind. Dismissed with a pat. That sweet child. Now, Lucas, tell us about that big win again. What kind of family fire lets one flame hog all the fuel, leavin' the rest to flicker? Suspense started simmerin' subtle, dears. A whiff of cheap perfume clinging to his collar after late shifts, a lipstick smear on a ledger leaf he'd shove quick in his pocket. Riley's big summit loomed like a holler harvest moon, a portfolio pitch to rocket her from these dusty ridges to dazzlin' downtown. But Lucas? His overtime stretched longer than a coon's tail, eyes dartin' guilty when she'd ask after him. The air thickened, tangy with unspoken smoke, and then the first shadow fell hard. Listen close, it's comin'. It slithered in sly as a snake in the henhouse deers, the eve of her city summit. Riley's laptop glowing ghostly in the lamplight, screen flickerin' false like a fox's grin. Resume twisted to trash-talkin' tomfoolery, holler yodel champion, yowlin' over her hard-won market whiz, fonts fuzzed and facts flung like confetti in a cyclone. Printer jams vicious, spewin' ink-black curses, files vanish quicker than a jackrabbit in January. Heart hammerin' she bolts for the holler bus at breakneck. Gravel crunchin' under tires like bones under boot. Stammers through the spotlight glare of that fancy FaceTime. Only to snag a polite, "We'll holler back, miss," that hangs hollow as an empty jug. She slumps home shattered dears, dreams crumblin' like dry cornbread in her fists. Porch light castin' long shadows on her tear-streaked face. And Lucas? He clinks a cider mug casual as sin, leanin' in with that too-bright twinkle. Rough ridge, sis. Lightning strikes twice, don't it? Chin up. You'll catch the next one. But his grin? It stretched too tight, eyes flickerin' like a guilty candle. Oh, my heart hollowed watchin' her. Nights of nose to grindstone, scholarships stacked like cordwood, all snuffed for what? A brother's blind jealousy? Kin called later, voices syrup sweet. Lucas leaped again. Big promotion toast at the co-op. No word for her wreckage. What kind of blood lets envy eclipse a sister's dawn? Tears burned hot in my throat, dears. But deep down, that old ridge wisdom whispered, dig, Rose. And dig I did. Suspense coiled tight, a lipstick trace on his truck seat. Whispers from the whistwives, about overtime overlaps. The mystery? It was heatin' up hotter than July asphalt. That gut twist lit a lantern in me, dears. 72 years on these ridges teach you to sniff out the skunk before the stink settles. Lucas lolled in his limelight lounge, crowing about shift ends that stretched to sinnin hours, while Riley's fire rekindled raw, pouring over her pilfered portfolio by candle glow. But oh, the clues crept in cruel. LinkedIn ghosts linking his late-night logins to her luxury loft. A wed ring wondering where it wandered on weekends. Pilfered phone pings piling like porch pests. Texts tangled hot. Missin' you already, darlin'. Midnight merger at the Silver Slipper. Cousin Clarence corners me at the co-op, voice low as a conspirator's. Rose, seen him slip and slide to that motor court? Smells like more'n moonshine. The pieces? They pricked like briar barbs. Sabotage wasn't just spite, no. It was a spotlight shield for his steamy sleight of hand, fear of fadin' fast driving him to dim her dazzle. My quill quivered furious on fool's cap, heart hammerin' for Riley's robbed resolve. Nights she'd confide tearful, "Why snuff my spark, mama? Ain't we kin?" What kind of brother barters blood for borrowed blaze? The holler hummed heavier now, air thick with cider tang and comin' storm. And I knew, dears, the hoedown be the hollerin' ground. Suspense strung like a bow. Would one slide slay the shadow? The firm's Yule hoedown dawned dazzlin' as a drunkard's dream. Deers, barn beams bowing under borrowed bounty, lanterns swingin' wild like will-o'-the-wisps. Kin and cronies crammed cheek to jowl in calico and cravats, cider's sharp tang bitin' the frosty air thick with pine and pretense. Fiddles fixed to frolic fierce, eggnog eggin' on the unaware, as Riley goes through the gate kin trail quiet. Her mandate masked in mistletoe mischief. Just a +1 for the pluses, y'all. Won't cramp the carol. Lucas? He loops the boss lady loose-limbed, arm slung smug round her waist, crowin' conquest casual as cornbread. Big leap this year, folks. Team's top dog now. Her giggles graze greedy, eyes lockin' too long on his. Goblets gleam greedy, geese golden roast gleamin'. But I anchor the assembly's edge, heart thumpin' like a trapped rabbit. Voice veiled velvet, but veerin' venom. A reel for the full revel. Kin. A lantern slide for the lurkers in the light. The slideshow slumbers secret sly in my satchel. Affair arrows anonymous and aim true, but suspense? It strung taut as a banjo string about to snap. Lucas's laugh lines? They lengthened to latent alarm, sidling up sly. Sis, such sparkle in your step. Spare the old spotlight for the young guns, eh? Kin chuckle cautious, candles casting creepin' shadows that dance devilish on his too serene strut. The hoedown hovered hairpin close to havoc, forks fidgetin' fierce, breath held barn wide. Would the beam betray his borrowed blaze, or blind us all? Nay, Lucas. I navigate, tone twangy tough but tipped with a tempest's twirl that twists the knife. No sparin' tonight. Brother, just a jig of justice. Hot as stolen cider and twice as burnin'. The cart creaks covert. Wheels whirrin' wicked wild as the strings man stumbles sly. Bam. Cue the cascade crashin' bold. Not carols croonin' soft, no. Beam blasts burstin' brutal across the barn wall. Motel mirages morphin' mid-melody like ghosts at a grave diggin'. Message blazes blinkin' blood red. Yule yarns from Lucas's lantern? Overtime or over-the-line overlap? Oh, dears. Chat flames flicker furious. Boss lady. Missin' you fierce, darlin'. Midnight merger at the Silver Slipper? Doors unlocked. His hotel haze hazed in high-def horror. Wed ring wonderin' where while the room reels wrapped, silent as a shotgun surprise. Gasps garnish the gallery like glitter gone grim. The lady boss flushes crimson as spilled cider, stammers stilted. Slander. Shadow puppets, all smoke. But the assembly? They absorb the arrows like a dry holler drinkin' rain. Applause? Absent as his alibis. And then, Riley's rift rips raw on the next slide. From swapped shine to stolen summit, now the light loops back on the liar. Her resume ruin rooted right there, in his rivalry's rotten core. Suspense? It snaps sharp as a switch. Lucas's laurels lurch to lies, face crumpling like wet newsprint. Tears tracing his temples twin to the ones Riley wept in secret. The hoedown hurls headlong into havoc, mugs crashing chorus. But hope, it hummed hidden in the hurt. One slide, dears, and the Sabotage's shade slayed itself. Mercy mellowed soft in the mulled midnight mist that followed our fractured frolic. Dears, fiddles fadin' faint as fireflies at frostfall, candles gutterin' gentle like guilty hearts. Lucas lingered lost at the loft's lintel. Laurels long crumbled, but leaning toward a lantern's low light. Voice veined deep with velvet vulnerability. Cracked like a well-worn boot. "Riley, darlin', I dimmed your dawn 'cause my own dusk daunted me fierce. Swapped that resume in a panic, beggin' the boss lady's bed to bolster my brittle shine. Feared the fade without her flattery's fire. We wended words wary over wassail warmed wan and wistful, his hazy heartaches unpacked plain. The affair. An anchor against the ache of aching empty, sabotage spurred by spotlight's scream and scare, her steady rise a riddle that riled his restless soul. Oh, dears, I watched Riley's eyes, storm gray to soft starlight, meetin' his mendin' with mercy measured, not mockin' the mess he'd made, but mourning the motive that marred us all. You stole my stride, brother, but strides shared, they stride stronger. I soothed soft, sliding a scarf stitched from her old sleeve across the splintered sill. Spotlights shared sustain us. Sun, don't let envy eclipse the kin we kindle. Tears twined tentative trails down cheeks weathered wise. The ridges ringin' round us with a hush that healed. Mystery mellowed to a mutual melody, mendin' what the mishap marred. From that slide's tremulous twang, dears, flowered fragile fronds of a fiercer fellowship. Lucas lends his limelight now to lanterns for the overlooked, lead-in lines at local leads for hustlers half hid, graspin' how grace gleams grandest from grapplin' with glow's own ghosts. The holler? It hums harmonious once more, Riley's wizardry woven with his wary wisdom, kinchin kinder at every call, cider conversations carryin' cautions wrapped in care. That slideshow? Sanctified now in a silent shared spool, pulled, out selective for strivers scarred, a teachin' tool turned tender. At 73, I helm ridge refrains right here on the porch, hustlers huddlin' neath harvest moons, forensics for favoritism's fickle flicker, whisperin' wise to whelps wide-eyed and wonderin'. Spotlight strike sustainable when we share the switch. Behold the brother blinded by his own blaze, lest envy eclipses your own encore. Lucas? He lends his lines awkward at first, fingers fumblin' the frets, then affable as autumn, sibling solidarity simmerin' sweet as shared cider and stories. My dears, partiality's prick? It can pierce straight to profound if you pursue the light. That favoritism's fickle flicker, once foul as foxfire, now fans a fairer, fiercer fellowship for us all. Safeguard your siblings with eyes unslanted and hearts held wide, won't you? Ears attuned to the echoes of envy creepin' close. Empathy's encore echoing louder than any lone limelight. Affection's the authentic aureate, outshining any shadowed. Stolen shine, we wander these what-not ridges now, gleaning grace from every glen and gully. Mama and Daddy's memory a mantle we mend merry with melody's mighty mend. Oh, the ridges, they ring richer than before, dears, carrying our chorus collaborative and clear. If a brother's blaze ever blinded your own beam, dears, or spotlight snagged your stride like briars on a back road, strum your story right here beneath. Pour it out plain, loves. We're woven tight in wit, warmth, and that wild ridge wisdom. Like if this leak lit a little light in your load, and oh, subscribe sweet to Tales of Mrs. Rose for more aureate arcs of ache turned acclaim. Drop in golden fresh every Sunday. Join the holler, darlings, you belong. Cherish those chapters close now, illumination. It ignites fierce from the flickerin' dark and grace. It gilds every glow eternal. God evenin' to you in golden garden till next we twang. Outro, banjo swells hopeful, fade to porch silhouette with text. Share your spotlight story, comment below.